Welcome to She Rebel Radio, the podcast for high-performing women leaders who want to unlearn conventional rules, leave prestigious careers, and launch businesses of significance. Each week, She Rebel Radio brings you insights and advice from women entrepreneurs who transformed their prestige prisons into daring entrepreneurial success stories. Now, here is your host, Lulu Nins.
Those of you that don't know me, many of you do, but those of you that don't, my name's Lulu Mins. I'm the founder of She Rebel Radio, which is a podcast that was launched in September and has gone from strength to strength over the last 6 or 7 months. I'm an award-winning coach and expert guiding women to freedom from their positions of prestige and finding more meaning and significance in the work that they do, which is namely through their own businesses. I'm still letting people into the meeting, so my apologies. I am going to ask Claire to introduce herself and to tell you this evening what content she's going to be sharing with you to help you rise up in business this evening. Hey Claire, how are you doing?
Hi Lulu, thanks for inviting me again, and Ever as well from Rise. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Clare Griffiths and I'm the founder of the Thrive Effect, and I'm also an entrepreneurship educator and business support practitioner, so I can help you develop your ideas and analyse those ideas, and that's what I'll be touching on tonight and sharing a tool with you which you can use to help you map out your ideas and analyse those opportunities.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Claire. And moving over to Eva, who's a community builder from Rise UK. And we are partnering with Rise this evening. So she's going to introduce herself and tell us more about Rise and the incredible work that they are doing at the moment. Welcome, Eva.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Hi, Lulu. Hi, Claire. And hi, everyone. I actually am happy to recognize a few of the faces. It's just super excited to be here tonight. I just want to say a big thank you to Lulu and Claire. We originally planned to host our coffee morning community event a few weeks back, I think. And of course, due to the current situation, we had to postpone. So I was really thrilled when they messaged me and offered to deliver 2 amazing workshops to women who either, are at the beginning of their journey or already running a business. So I was very excited. My role at Rise is, as Lulu mentioned, community builder. Actually, Claire, would you mind just putting maybe the slide? So it would be just very much easier for me to give a bit of context. Lovely. Yes, this is us.
We've done that.
Yes, lovely. So for those who don't know who Rise is, we're a Sussex-based charity and we support people affected by domestic abuse and violence. And I think the one key message that I just want to say is that we're still here. As you might have read in the news, there is a massive increase in the number of calls we're receiving. The case workload is really increasing, but we're still here. Our lines are opened. So if you would know anyone in help, or if you would be aware of anything, you can always pass on our number. There's also the National Domestic Abuse Helpline that people can contact. So I just kind of wanted to highlight it. It's a little bit challenging. We're adapting to the new situation, but we're still here. And my role particularly is focusing on strengthening communities. We have 3 community projects that we run. One of them, and Claire, if you could move on to the next slide. Yes, it's becoming an Ask Me ambassador, which is about recruiting people from all different communities in Sussex and helping creating safe spaces where survivors can feel safe about talking about their experiences. And it's been amazing. We have, I think, since we've been running for a year, we had already around 70 ambassadors, which is very encouraging. They come from all different parts of Sussex, different walks of life, and they're helping create those safe spaces for survivors to kind of feel safe to talk about their experiences. The other project is our community research program, which is a beautiful project, and it connects survivors of domestic abuse who are more in the thriving part of their journey and who want to help us with researching what's going on in the current cases. Everything that's been done in RISE, we documented through research, and we use this beautiful method, walking together. So we kind of walk alongside the survivors to help them tell their stories. And at the end of our project, we'll collect it in a big project, in a big report, so we can then kind of draw the learnings and pass on. And yeah, it's just a really, really nice way of telling the stories of survivors of domestic abuse. And the final project is our Community Connector program, which is the reason I'm here, and Lulu and Clare, we've actually met. It's for women who got a personal experience of domestic abuse, and now they want to start their own project. It could be anything to kind of bring a positive change to community. We have around 7 women in the program at the moment, and we provide an amazing package support. So from different workshops, we've got a small pot of funding. We help them connect with the right people, like Lulu and Clare, hence the kind of in the workshop today. And at the moment, we can't recruit for the program because of the current situation. But if anyone would be interested in any of those programs, at the end there will be my email address, so feel free to contact me. And now I'm just going to pass on back to Lulu. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Eva, the incredible work that RISE are doing at an increasingly challenging time. And the Community Connector project program is really exciting. I know Emma was asking, is that project just Sussex based, or is it available anywhere else?
Yes, so at the moment it's only Sussex based. I think we are a pilot project, actually. I don't know if there's any other in the UK, to be honest. The Ask Me Ambassador, for instance, it also runs in a few different cities in the UK. It's in a partnership with Women's Aid. But the Connector program is very novel, and at the moment just Sussex based.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Eva. And this is a free webinar this evening, ladies, but there is going to be an opportunity at the end if you so wish. We're going to pass on the details of RISE and how you can donate to the project, to the rising needs of concerns of domestic abuse at the moment at the end. So keep an eye out for that. We have lots of comments being shared, which I'm just going to dive into here, as to intentions, etc., for being on the webinar this evening. Catherine said there's much uncertainty. It's difficult to know where to place your bets at the moment. Gemma's intention to be open, to learn and be inspired. Liz is wanting to niche her business to be for women only, but is deciding how finally to do this and hoping to find more clarity. So you're needing to make decisions and find clarity. You are in the right place, Liz, for sure. Bringing enthusiastic energy for women. Joe's intention, connection to other like-minded women and to learn. So lots of openness to learning. Laura's bringing positive energy and to be with strong, powerful women. Karen, grow and develop her business. We've got motivated, inspired, lots of learning and connection. So thank you so much for sharing, as the connection is so important for these events. So it's an honour to be here and to support you. So I'm going to declare, can we move on to my first slide? Thank you so much. This may be familiar to some of you who were on the webinar a month ago, but those of you that weren't, fear not. I'm going to explain this to you, but I'm going to share with you this evening about decision-making, anchored decision-making and self-actualization, how those are connected. And what we're going to be looking at is, one, why you need to make decisions and what anchored decision-making is. Number two, identify your decision-making default button, because we all have one. And thirdly, to reflect on the gaps and weaknesses that are potentially there in your decision-making. But what I am going to start off in saying is this is about self-awareness. Self-awareness is power. And it's not about, trying to make yourself somebody else. We're all whole people, and you actually have access to everything that I'm going to share with you this evening. But it's just about that self-awareness piece of going, where might something be lacking for me, and where do I need to maybe spend a little bit more time focusing and noticing things that I wouldn't normally. And that's going to tie in perfectly and beautifully, we feel, to Clare's Clarity Canvas and the practical business tools that you're going to take away as well. So we're going to tie that back in for you. So this slide here, I don't know those of you that may be familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and actually it's been floating around a little bit online at the moment, which is a triangle. This is my version of the feminine version of that hierarchy of needs. And, you know, with the pandemic that we've been facing recently, you know, it has been a big risk of people coming down into number 2 in the needs of safety, you know, of not knowing where the bills are going to be paid, where we can get toilet roll from, you know, etc. And you know, as is when women are facing, and men for that matter, you know, issues of domestic abuse, etc. We're quite often going into that safety need, and the pandemic has raised that across the board. But within that as well, looking at the esteem and prestige step number 4, which is where I tend to work with women who have achieved a certain degree of prestige and esteem, that we have been, you know, fighting that battle for the last 100 years, 150 years. And it was actually the Second World War, which we haven't seen anything like that until now, where massive change, an extended period of uncertainty has been on the cards, which actually opened the door for women in the workplace. And I've been talking a lot over the last month how this extended period of uncertainty that we are in, as difficult as it is, could be key in opening the door for us as women to full self-actualization in the 21st century, where women are stepping up in leadership and entrepreneurship, which is so important, and that there is opportunity for us to make more mistakes and be more experimental in the things that we're doing, and to certainly ditch the perfectionism that can keep so many women stuck. And one of the ways that we can self-actualize is to have a business and to be in business. And business is a vehicle, if you like, for us to be able to fully self-actualize. And when we're moving into self-actualization, that's what this webinar is about this evening, of supporting women to rise in business. We are rising into higher potential, we are rising into higher purpose, higher expression of ourselves, which in turn means a greater impact on others. In order to do that, however, what we need to do is master ourselves and be aware that the biggest obstacle of coming out from esteem and prestige and into self-actualization is ourselves. We are the biggest obstacle. And that's why I say, and that's why I spend so much time with clients working on personal awareness and personal development, because personal awareness and personal development is power, and it is power for women. And the word power, even for women, can have a negative connotation because we've seen quite masculine versions of that, etc., which have a number of negative connotations. But actually, you know, power for women can look very, very different, and rising for women can look very, very different. And we are in a space at the moment of that extended uncertainty, where there's going to be a new paradigm on the end of it, which is one that I am putting forward, that is going to be really, really pulled forward by women stepping up into their self-actualization. But in order to do that, what we must be doing is making decisions. And in order to run a business, we need to make decisions every single day, small decisions, big decisions. And there's a big school of thought, and I am, you know, a huge advocate of that in many ways, it doesn't matter whether your decisions are right or wrong. It's just important that you make them. Because otherwise, I often say to clients, you know, imagine yourself straddled on a fence and you might be going that way or that way, and you just stay on that fence. Whereas when you make a decision, you jump off and you start to move forward in the right direction or the wrong direction. But either way, you start to move and you can readjust and pivot as things go on. And I know Claire is going to be talking to you, and this came up in our last webinar as well. This is a time where people are pivoting and needing to make decisions and make changes in their businesses as well. So it's something that we need to be doing all the time anyway, but now so even more so. Can we move on to the second slide, Claire?
Yeah.
Thank you. So I wanted to look at anchored decision making. And thank you. I know you're all still continuing to share in the comments your intention, which is really helpful, because we'll be going back through those.
Sorry, I'm having an issue.
Yeah, don't worry. I thought you might be. It's no problem. Yeah, what we're going to look at is thanks so much. What is anchored decision making, and what kind of decision maker are you? And you can see there from this diagram, the anchored decision making is in the middle of the visionary, the architect, and the builder. And I like to say anchored decision making is around making coherent and consistent decisions with your whole self. So coherent and logical and consistent decisions with your whole self, which is your entire ecosystem of everything that makes up you as a person, which is why I say that we all have access to the visionary, the architect, and the builder within us, which I'm going to go into some more detail about that. But what many of us can tend to do is default into one of them, which is our kind of leader, which is our default decision maker. And then we usually have like a backup as well. So kind of your wing woman. You have your leading woman, your leading lady, and then you've got your wing woman who's coming behind. And then the third one tends to get a little bit left behind and forgotten, which can cause trouble for us, certainly in starting up a business or in the first early stages of business, because you need all of those parts of yourself, because often you're going to be on your own doing all the things and making the decisions, but also even later on in your business, because it makes an impact as to who it is that you may be collaborating with or employing or bringing into your business, because of the part of you that you can't rely on quite so much as the main parts. So if I can move on to the slide below, and we might be toggling beneath these a little bit. So the visionary, the red circle, the visionary default decision maker is the person who tends to make decisions on future thinking. The visionary is heart-led. Our heart, our head, and our gut are all areas of neural intelligence, and that has been confirmed by neuroscience. That's not, woo-woo stuff that's out there. I'm a multiple braining coach, which is head, heart, and gut, and using those areas of neural intelligence within your business. So the visionary is very heart-led. It's based on future thinking. It's intuitive. It's feeling. It's harmonic. The benefit of being a visionary decision maker, that's your default, is you are someone who will make decisions that pulls you forward. You are someone that will make decisions on what feels right, in inverted commas, to you for that next vision or that next version of yourself. The con, because there is always a con, we can't have strengths without the weaknesses that come behind that, is that the architect and the builder can't keep up with your decisions. So that can be your own internal architect and builder, or it can be the other architects and builders around you, working around you, collaborating with you, when your business can't necessarily keep up with the visionary decisions that you're making. And when I know not all of us, but many of us, and I think most of you that are online this evening have certainly been to Brighton. I would love for you to think about, the Royal Pavilion sitting in the middle of Brighton. For that to come into materialisation, there would have been a visionary, which I believe was Prince Regent. I remember doing a school project on it years ago. But there would have also been other visionaries around him of creating, the heart of Brighton. Very much an Indian influence in a building that wasn't, kind of seen in Britain at that time. There was a real vision of that beautiful building that is in the heart of Brighton. So that's the visionary. And I would love to know, as I go through this in the comments, I know you're all sharing your intentions as to which one resonates with you the most. The second one, if we can just flick back up to the architect, is the blue one. So the architect decision maker, and then back down again. Thanks, Claire. The architect decision maker is based on present resources. So the architect is very head-led, logical thinking, data-driven. And the benefit of being the architect default decision maker is that the architect will work with what you have, the resources that you have in your present circumstances to make things happen. And that is a really powerful place to be. The weakness of that can be that decisions can be too practical and maybe not bold enough to pull you forward into that vision, into that next version of your business or that next version of yourself. It can be too much, which particularly if we're talking about at the moment, pivoting and not knowing at the end of, the pandemic, what's on the other side, that can potentially not be bold enough for you if you're too in the now and not in the future. Emma's saying default is builder, backup is the architect. Thanks so much for sharing, Emma. So the builder, I'm trying to remember what colour that one is. Lots of colours. Yellow. Yeah, the builder decision maker. Builders tend to use past experience. They are gut-led. There is a saying that the gut is quickest to know, slowest to let go. And the gut is really a place of identity. So a builder decision maker can make decisions based on the past version of themselves, their identity of who they think it is they are, or what they think they should be doing. The gut it tends to be very instinctual, which is very different to intuition. They get crossed over quite a lot, and they're actually very different. In terms of instinct, is much more responsive to external stimuli and what's going on, and then using that past experience to to connect to a situation and see what past responses have been useful and helpful before. The builder decision maker is very productive, and the builder is a doer, and the benefit is using that past experience, as I said. But the con of that, the builder decision maker can tend to outsource decisions to other architects and visionaries. So instead of their own and accessing their own neural intelligence of their own architect and their own visionary, when the builder is the leader here, you can go and tend to ask other people. So again, if you're like, I'm not quite sure where I fit, if you think about, if you had a big decision to make in your business and you needed to decide whether it was possible or not, would you go and take yourself out for a walk and have a feel into whether this was right? Would you sit down and crack out the numbers and look at the resources that were available to you? Or would you go and speak to your most trusted, confident person that you can have a conflab with about it? And I'd love to know in the comments, I know they're continuing, as to which ones that you would do. And sometimes you would do all three, but it's the one that you would do first. That's the one that is the most important one, and then checking in with the other three. Gemma's saying default is visionary, backup is the architect. Emily, builder is default, backup is visionary. Martin, interesting, I've always overlapped instinct and intuition. Yeah, I've got a whole podcast episode on that one. Emily can't decide. The builder then close to the visionary. Definitely take a walk first. Love it. Yeah, default is the visionary. Backup is the architect, visionary followed by the architect. Yeah, default, visionary, absolutely. Okay, lots of them coming in here. Really, really powerful. Claire, if we can just go up to the slide before. Yeah, then we've got the crossovers here. Sorry, the comments keep on popping up. There's the purple, the orange, and the green of where they cross over, and this is going to give us a little bit more of an insight. And be really honest with yourself here as well in terms of where you actually sit with that, and not, because as I said, it's not, we can go, I want to be that one, but I know I'm a little bit that one. None are better than the other ones. Once you're aware of what your weaknesses are, and you can check in with that, and we're going to dive into that a little bit more. If we could go to the 2 slides down, and the combination. So if you're really resonating with combination A, which is the purple, where the architect and the visionary crossover, that you've got both of these two together quite strongly. The weakness here, because there's a weakness for all three of these when you have your wing woman and your default decision making, the weakness of the architect and visionary together, and again you might recognize yourself here, is that there can be a tendency to procrastinate still with the decision making, because there's lots of talking out ideas, lots of meetings and things happening, but there can be a lack of actually getting things done, because the builder's really powerful with getting in the trenches, digging it out, putting in the foundations and getting stuff done. So there can be lots of conversation and not actually some of the getting stuff done. And when Claire's going to take you through her part, that could be the what is missing. The product, the service might be unclear in your business. If it's combination B, the orange, which is the visionary and the builder combined, that's definitely me, and resonates massively. Again, it can be really powerful because you've got the vision, you get out there building it straight away. There's not much procrastination. As I said, other architects and builders are struggling to keep up. But what can be a weakness here is that there is a lack of a roadmap, there is a lack of strategy, and there is a lack of structure. And without that strategy, the how is missing. So the why is there, the what is there, but the how, connecting those two pieces, can be missing. And as I said, we've all got access to all of these parts of ourselves, the head, the heart, the gut, but it's about going, okay, this is my weakness. I actually really need to sit down and look at this and do this. And I use my podcast as a great example of this. The vision of an episode is there for me for a week. I've got the title. I'm like, this is what it's going to be. And, and then every Tuesday I sit down and record, and I have to force myself to sit and work out the roadmap and the strategy of how I'm going to take people through that. Combination C is the green crossover, which is the architect and the builder. Again, amazing at getting things done. The roadmaps are there, the strategy, the structure, the plans, and the building has begun. The trenches are out, the building has started. You can be very operational, but what can be missing and where the focus needs to come back to is the passion, the vision, and the why, which Claire is going to be looking at with you in the Clarity Canvas. So I'm just going to come back to these comments. Hillary, architect and the builder, let me know if the weaknesses, if you're recognising your strengths and your weaknesses there. Fiona, visionary, followed by the architect. Karen, really like this. I'm a builder, and then back up visionary. Love it. And you know what I love doing with this? I guessed what most of my clients were and wrote it down. Usually spot on. You can really see it. And, it's about really leveraging those strengths, but just being aware of what the weakness is. Elizabeth, visionary, then builder. See, we've got some great combinations. And just what an empowered space this is of women, because we're all here with all of those. Catherine's saying it's definitely orange, so orange. Lots of oranges in the house. I'm very orange as well. I must have attracted you and brought you in. So Claire, let us know, ladies, as well. We are going to have some time for some Q&A. So if you've got any questions, I'm going to be keeping an eye. I think there's one coming up. One most common primary position seems to be the visionary. Yeah. Although I think people can sometimes think that they want to be the visionary, because that can be, the most perceived entrepreneurial one. But as I've said, there's always the backup, and we have access to all of this. So it's about being super, super honest with yourself as to where you're at with that, for sure. Claire, any comments that you want to add before you dive into yours? And we'll.
No, I think it leads on nicely to my section, really. I love the way you've divided up the different types of decision makers, and it's interesting to see from the comments who's identifying as what. And in terms of the tool that I'm going to be introducing people to in a minute, it should help people pull away from what their default is and move towards maybe one of the other areas where they're lacking in, or towards one of their weaknesses.
Yeah, and it's that. Yeah, just you have to spend a little bit more time focusing on that area, because you won't naturally do it. About being disciplined.
Exactly.
Go into that area for sure.
Great. So shall I just kick off? Yeah. Thanks, Lulu. So as Lulu said at the beginning, the way we're balancing each other out is she's been talking about the type of decision maker we are, and looking at and that element. And what I'm trying to do now is going to introduce you to a tool that I've developed. I'll explain what it is in a minute. And we're going to use part of that tool to really explore the why behind the business, the how behind your business, and the what. So I'm just going to plot on, and you should be able to see how it all links together. So I've been working in entrepreneurship education for the last 16 years, and I'm familiar with quite a few tools that we use in the startup industry to help people develop their ideas and analyse those ideas. But I've always been a bit frustrated that some of these tools are overcomplicated, or they're very jargon heavy, or just not very easy to understand language. So over the years, I've tried to introduce new tools of myself. And last summer, I was really determined during my summer holiday, maybe rather sad, but I was really determined during the summer holiday to come up with an alternative tool in the startup world. So this is what I came up with. So one you may be familiar with, which can help you map your ideas down, is the business model canvas. And there's lots of things I really like about it. They're all the tools I'm going to explain are like one-page tools which you can use quick and easily, theoretically, to get your idea down on paper. The business model canvas I really like because it gives you a really holistic picture of your business. But when I'm working with startups or aspiring entrepreneurs and founders, a lot of them I find really struggled with the language of this. I found it quite academic, and the point is, if you're going to use a tool to help you think more strategically or to make better decisions, you need to be able to use something which you can understand and use. So I've used that to an extent with my clients, but wasn't 100% satisfied. There may be other ones you've come across. One we've also used in the past is a lean canvas. This can really help you prompt to think about the problems and solutions behind your business. But again, it's quite scientific in its design. It gets you to think about the solutions you're coming up with, but then also how you can measure those solutions and see if they're working with your audience. And again, people often just get lost. So what I've tried to come up with is something much simpler, which, funnily enough, starts with your purpose, starts you thinking about the why. So if you're not a visionary or if you're not an architect, this tool will hopefully get you thinking about your future vision and what you want to achieve with your business. In terms of this tool, which I developed, I usually host this in a 4-hour workshop, and we get female founders, which is my area. I get female founders to work on their business using this Clarity Canvas, using this tool. I'm really aware that we've only got about, say, 20-25 minutes to go through this. So I'm going to concentrate on 3 areas, like I say, which will help you think more about the why behind your business, the how, and the what. So in terms of it as a whole, though, it starts, I'll be diving in more to the purpose and the mission and the product and services element in a bit. But if you start at the centre and you start thinking, first of all, about what's the reason, why did you set up, what motivated you to set up your business, and work your way around clockwise, then through mission, products and services, resources, etc., cost and income. By the end of working through this tool, you've essentially got your business idea on paper. And this can be really helpful, not only for giving you a really clear overview of your business strategy, but it can also help you inform your marketing strategy and what you end up doing. So as a tool, it gets you to think strategically. And that's particularly useful if your default is to be a builder, because you might automatically think, okay, I'm going to do this on my business, I'm going to create these products and services. But actually, if you take a step back and pause, then it's often better to just then think, okay, why do you want to create those products and services? What's the reason behind it? And are they right for you? But as I say, today I'm just going to concentrate on the first 3 kind of central parts of the tool. So the purpose, the mission, and the products. One thing I will say is at the end, we're going to share our contact details. So if anyone would like a copy of the canvas that I've created, they can go to my website and download that. I'll explain where to get it later on. And what I'm going to do now is just go through some of the prompting questions which I've created, which can help you fill out the tool. So this central bit, so the purpose, the mission, the product and services, is actually inspired to an extent by a man called Simon Sinek. Don't know if you've seen his TED talk or if you've read his book, which is called Start With the Why and How Great Leaders Inspire Action. But it's a real call for action for you to start with your why, to start with the reason behind product or your service. And he's basically arguing that it's only once you're explaining your why, what's the story behind your brand, that people then actually relate to that, and people connect on a much deeper level. When you explain your why, that's when you can really kind of inspire a difference in behaviour and inspire action. And the thoughts, it's important to start with your purpose. So in terms of the actual canvas, as I say, the first one, ideally, you're wanting to look at, although it's not what everyone always starts with default-wise, is to think about your why. So just to like clarify what I mean by that, the kind of things you need to be in a workshop, I'd be getting people to write this down on like post-it notes. So feel free to write notes, and then basically they've used the post-it notes to then fill out their own individual canvas. But for the why, the kind of things we're looking at like, what's your purpose? Why are you doing what you want to do? So often people have some kind of a professional or a personal motivation for starting up. So it's just important to think, why are you doing what you intend to do? If you've been around in business for a while, and I think this is the challenge I've got in this session, is I know some of you are pre-startup, so you haven't yet started your businesses. Others are startups, so you're like under 3 years old in terms of your business age, and then there may be some more established business owners here. But what I would say is, if you've been in business for a while, often you can forget your purpose, you can forget why you originally started up. And so going through this tool can be a really good way to reflect on, actually, what am I doing, and am I doing what I originally wanted to set out to do? Last year, I did a couple of different strategic workshops using this tool, but with individual professional service firms. And one I went to was an accountancy firm. And they had, it was set up by a founder on their own, and then over time that person then recruited other people to work with them, so now they have like a team of 9, but they had never actually really shared their purpose with their team. So when we looked at this as collectively as a team, as a strategic like workshop, it was a great opportunity for her to then share why she originally set up the accountancy firm in the first place, and that then kind of enabled all the team to get on board with what they're wanting to achieve. And it was quite interesting actually, because she actually has, to cut a long story short, her father was her father ran a business, that was it, and then his business went bust, he went bankrupt, and so she was then inspired to then enable other people to run successful businesses and hopefully stop them from going bankrupt, what have you. And so that was her kind of driving point, and she shared this very personal story with her team, which then got actually the whole team motivated, because then they had that why. They weren't just offering like tax compliancy services, they were offering they were being part of her bigger vision.
Yeah,
so
that's kind of like injecting the heart back into the business, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly what she did with her team, and so it was fascinating to see when she did share that story with the team. So the purpose is all about you. So why are you doing what you're doing? You've been in business a while, like I say, go back to that point when you were starting up. What was originally your personal motivation and your professional one? In terms of looking forward, so being that visionary, if this isn't your default position, this is a great prompting question you need to think about, okay, what are you wanting to achieve with your own business? And to try and kind of make this less theory, more practical, I'm just going to give you, alongside these prompting questions, my responses for the Thrive Effect, so for the business support organisation that I run. So our purpose is, we have a social purpose to boost female entrepreneurship in the UK, so that the number of female-led businesses, small businesses, is at least equal to those of male-led businesses. So if you're not familiar, men in the UK are twice as likely as women to set up a business, and also only on average 20% of all small firms are set up or led by women. And as soon as that number includes firms that have employees, that percentage of female-led businesses goes down. So I'm on a mission, a personal mission, really, to boost like female entrepreneurship and in the UK. And my vision is by 2025 to have reached out somehow to impacted on 10,000 women in business, and that's either through my events or through the websites that I host as well. So thinking about my why, I'm very clear on what I'm wanting to achieve. And that also is shared in my marketing and comms, which I think is also a point to remember. Once you've done something, it's really hard to work out. It's not going to happen in 5 minutes, work out what your purpose is, your vision is. But once you've clarified that, it's then really good. It's a really good guiding point. And then it's something you can then share with your audience. In terms of professional and personal motivations, just a little aside, I suppose professionally, what I was wanting to do and what I'm always trying to do is share my expertise and experience as an entrepreneurship educator, worked in the higher education sector and also the voluntary sector, supporting aspiring and established entrepreneurs to start and grow their businesses. So I'm wanting to kind of share that knowledge with the targeting specifically female founders. And in terms of my own personal and additional motivation, wanting to generate additional income to my paid employment. So all those are kind of things that would go on my purpose section of my canvas. The next section going, if you remember, the canvas kind of goes, you go like a snail, so you'd go clockwise, is looking at your mission, and that's really thinking about your how. So this, I suppose, in the terms of Lulu, this is for people who are identifying more as architects. And if you're a builder, then again, this is a really good prompt to help you think about, okay, how can you actually put your vision and your purpose, translate that into a business? Mm. So the questions here, the prompting questions that I've developed for this part of the canvas are like, what's your mission? How are you going to fulfill your purpose? And what exactly are you going to do for your customers? And I don't mean that in terms of the products and services, the what, because that comes next. But really, it's just like, okay, what are you doing which reflects your purpose, and what values do you have which reflect who you are and what you're trying to achieve, and your vision and what have you. In terms of a note on values, it's a really useful exercise to just reflect, even if you're one person working on your business on your own or exploring a business idea, just thinking, what are your values for your business that you would like to be known for? This itself can really help in decision making. It can also help attract customers. If you grow a team, it can help you with recruitment. If you go back to what I was saying about the accountancy firm, once she'd recognised what her purpose was and shared that with her team, and now in recruitment she's done since that session, she's been very open in her recruitment exercises about what her values are and what the values are of the company, and that's really helped in terms of like attracting talent. So what are your own values which you can then be reflected in the way you do business, so the products and services you offer? And I'm just going to give you an example of Thrive to just help you work this out. So our mission is to create practical learning and networking opportunities for female founders and women in business, so that they gain the inspiration, the knowledge, and connections they need to build a business that lasts. So my why, just remember, my why is that social purpose of wanting to boost female entrepreneurship. But how am I going to do that? Through my mission, through creating practical learning and networking opportunities. And this webinar would count, for example, as one of those.
Yeah, I was going to say, Claire, that the values piece acts as such a great filter for saying yes to certain things that you're going to do or no. And I've even said to clients often with social media, social media can be so overwhelming, and you've got to utilise it as a tool that's in accordance with your values and your hows. There's 101 things that you could do. But yeah, it's a good filter.
And something actually in Simon Sinek's book about the starting with the why, something that he recommends is that, I don't know if you've seen this, but often people say, oh yeah, these are my values, and they put them up on their website, but they just list like 4 or 5 like words. And what he was recommending is actually create verbs around them, so create them as to calls to action. So originally I used to just list my values as like community, inclusive, practical learning, and a no bullshit approach to business support. But what Simon in his book is recommending is that we create calls to action with these, and that can just really help us with our decision making, and then also just keep us being authentic and just checking, is everything that we're doing true to our values, so to speak. So for the Thrive Factor, say we're a community So a community of female founders that come together to learn, to network, etc. We're inclusive. So in the meetups I host or the workshops I host, I have pre-startups as well as more established businesses that come along, and also people of all ages and backgrounds. As an educator, it's in my blood to create learning opportunities. So I always want everything to be really practical. And sorry for swearing, I've also got this like no bullshit approach. So it's just like very much, these are the tools you can use. These are the questions you can ask yourself. It's up to you to do the work. But I just always want to try and make everything as practical and like clear as I can. Finally, the last part that I want to touch on really in detail is the products and services. So part of the canvas. So to get you to think about the what. So really you all have homework for those of you that are wanting to find that clarity is like really think back to, take some time out over the next couple of days, think, okay, what's your why? Think back to what your purpose is, what your original motivations were. Think about your hows, and then explore your what's, your products and services. And what's interesting is, I know we're in bizarre, terrifying, interesting times, lots of things. But as business owners, if you get a really kind of clear understanding of what your purpose is and what your mission is, then what you can do is change your products and services due to the pandemic or what have you, but at least be clear on what your core is, so what your core purpose is and what your values are, because those, once you're clear on that, those shouldn't change. It's then the actual product and services that will change. So for example, for me, my how is this like the practical learning opportunities and networking opportunities that it creates. Just happens during the pandemic, and doing that learning and that networking, encouraging that online. But before the pandemic, I was doing a lot of face-to-face events and workshops. So for this part of the section, the questions are obviously really in terms of products and services. So what are you actually selling? How do your products and services benefit your customers or end users? So this is key. So it's not just thinking about what it'll look like, or it's about thinking, okay, what's the value, what's in it for the customers or the end users, the service users, the app users, whatever you're creating, what are they getting out of it? I'm always telling people as well, to encouraging them to think about how they differentiate. So once you understand what values you're giving to your clients or your customers, what benefits you're creating, and then from there, if you compare those benefits, say, to your competitors, you can start identifying what's unique about what you do. Other things to think about early on, I think the earlier the better, is get a handle on the financial side of things. So start to think about pricing. If you're like pre-startup, start to cost things out. And again, the canvas prompts that later on. Gets you to think about your resources and your cost and income, but start to think what you're charging for your products and services. And for those of you that are running like established businesses, then it's maybe thinking, what could you innovate now whilst we're in this pandemic, or what could you be innovating if you're new to starting a business? What could you innovate in the future, which could help you differentiate from your competitors, maybe increase income streams, etc. And just give you a bit of lowdown on what we're doing with Thrive. So, as I said, I have these online Thrive meetups. So they're one of my services, so to speak, product service, I'm going to describe it. I also run business clarity workshops with this canvas. And then I have the website, which is another learning opportunity, so people can go on in their own time and download useful, inspiring interviews or learning resources. And something new in terms of me and my own innovation, partnering up with Karen Stenning, from Absolute Alchemy, who is here, Karen, and we're about to launch a virtual conference for female founders and women in business to celebrate their resilience and successes. And we'll be launching that very, very soon this week, in fact. So that's an array of my products and services. I don't want this to be some kind of a promotional thing. I just wanted to really highlight these are the things I'm doing. But if you think back to my purpose and my mission, although I've like innovating and introducing new things, so like the online Thrive meetups, which usually are face-to-face, and the virtual conference, things like that, that's all changing. The products are changing, but actually my core purpose, my mission, they haven't changed.
Although we were going to do webinars before the pandemic, Claire.
Yes, we did. Yeah. In fact, and like with Eva, this workshop that she offered to us, this was all pre-pandemic, wasn't it? So yeah. So I'm conscious of time, but just going to touch on a couple of things. But just to clarify, the purpose, the mission, the products and services are 3 sections of the canvas, but there are 8 in total. But afterwards, if you download, for example, this canvas, you could then explore, okay, you've got your products and services, what resources do you need, like financial, physical, human resources? What do you need to turn these products and services in reality, or to innovate these new things? What are the costs involved, the income which you could potentially generate? Who are your customers? So who are the different target groups you're going to be offering your products and services to? And then from there, looking at your marketing activities. And finally, the external factors, then things like actually the pandemic would fall into that as well. What's happening in the outside world that could potentially affect your business. And the last time I did the business clarity workshop face-to-face with people was in February. And it was all in the news, the coronavirus, the pandemic, but it hadn't reached us yet, but we all had it on the horizon. And then there were a couple of interior designers in the workshop who were already noticing the impact on their business because there were the supplies that they were getting from China were being delayed. So that's it really. So as I say, the purpose and the mission are the core of your business, which don't change. But then if you think about it, like I say, like I don't know, like as a snail, that kind of circular shape, you can think of your purpose, your mission, and it just goes around your products and services. And you can just, as a working document, this is something you can use rather than writing a full-blown business plan, just as a way to get your ideas down, at least before maybe you have to do that later down the line. It's just a great tool to kind of to develop your ideas and get them analysed.
Yeah, loads of compliments, Claire, in the chat box about love this model, such a wonderful practical application. What else have you said, Catherine, there? You should share with Alexander Osterwalder. He needs to improve his model. Love it. It's great. So solid and simple, really helpful.
Good.
So yeah,
it's good because I can't see any of the chat, so I can just see the number of like comments going over. Like, oh gosh, what's happening? The last couple of things I'm just going to touch on. Have we got time, Lulu?
Yeah, we've got time.
A couple of things. Just wanted to just give a couple more. I won't go into detail, but just to introduce a couple more tools depending on what stage you're at with your business. So, Ikigai, you may be familiar with this. This is something I was just wanting to show people who may be pre-startup or starting up, or maybe having to revisit their business entirely because of the pandemic. And it's something I've used quite a bit with clients, prompting people to think about what they could potentially do to self-actualize, to create, to generate an income, to create their own business. It's actually from Japan, and Ikigai is all about finding your purpose in life. Which can take us our whole lives to do, to be fair. But if you use this tool, it might be quicker. But the thing I like about this is just a good, in the context of entrepreneurship, it's a good reminder that, yes, do something you love. And it's all very trendy messaging going on. They're always like, yeah, make sure you do something you love. Yeah, that's great. But you need to be able to get paid for that. And you need to be good at what you're doing. And you need to create, I think, most important now, and create something that the world needs. But the whole point about Ikigai is if you can kind of get that intersection of doing something you love, something the world needs, something that you can be paid for, and something you're good at, you can get all that together, that's you finding your Ikigai. Something else to add, if you're already in business and wanting to potentially innovate, and I did a webinar, probably was a month ago, Lulu, now, where I talked about innovation in more depth. I'm not going to do that now, but just as a kind of another tool to prompt people, if you are already in business and you've got a really clear idea on your why, on your how, so you've got a clear idea on your purpose, you've got a clear idea on your mission, but maybe because of the external environment, you're having to introduce new products or something, check out this tool, the Ansoff Matrix. It's a great tool to get you ideating, thinking of new ideas, either getting you to think about existing products, what you're doing, and offering them to new markets. Or it could be getting you to think about, okay, who are my markets? What other products could I develop or services could I develop aimed at those markets? And just to give you an example, quick example, one of the clients I've had in the past is a children's book illustrator. So she had 3 children's books aimed at early years age children, so like 5-6-year-olds. So that was her initial product. She was like, okay, Claire, I need to generate some more income. What else can I do? So together we worked on the ANSAF matrix, and we came up with various ideas, those being prints. So that's a new product, but using the same illustration, but selling it to the same market, actually. So selling it to the parents or the carers or the relatives who are buying the books. Another example, though, of something that she innovated further was she related to what she was doing. She created children's parties. So giving away the books as one of the gifts in the children's birthday party. That's an example of a new product, because originally she was just selling books. Then she decided to create these like children's birthday parties, sell that as a product to the same market. Yeah. Something she then went on and did further down the line was then create illustrated books for adults. So that was an example of her using her skills. So using her products being like new products, so illustrated books, but aimed at different adult groups. So it's just an example of the different products she offered, some to existing markets and some to new markets. And that's like a very quick brief overview of that, but it's a good tool. I'd Google it, have a look at it, read about it, because it's a really good one to prompt you, particularly wanting to generate new products and services. And the final tool, if you do generate loads of ideas, a really useful kind of tool to help you identify which are worth pursuing and which have the most impact is to use something called the impact versus efforts matrix. I like matrices, as you probably
never.
But basically with this, if you like got loads of sticky notes and loads of different ideas, put them on a wall, mapped out this matrix, on your own or with your partner, business partner, whoever you can, or your team, you can get to think about, okay, which ideas don't cost me much in terms of effort but have a massive impact, and which are like high effort but actually don't bring me any benefits. They're low impact, and the tool describes those as derailers, for example. But this, have a look again once you get the recording of this. Have a look at this as a way to identify which are the ideas which you could potentially pursue. And again, going back to the accountancy firm that I supported last year, we got the whole team working on this. So we generated a load of ideas in the afternoon, and it was really exciting because we just mapped them out all on the wall. And then from there, they had a really good list of things to move forward with and to like genuinely innovate within their firm. Okay, I'm conscious of time. I'm going to stop talking, but that was just a really kind of quick overview of part of my business clarity canvas, which will help you hopefully think more strategically if you're more of a builder, or help you to just think more about how and what you could actually build if you're more of a visionary. So I hope you've found that useful, and also these other tools to just help you innovate whatever stage you're at.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Claire. Emily said she can't wait to get her sticky notes out. She's very inspired. Fantastic. Eva, should we bring you back for any comments that you've got? And ladies, time for questions, Q&A. Are there any questions that you have about Claire's clarity canvas, about decision making, about how all of that fits in, anything specific? Please do use the chat box, because we are more than happy to answer those questions with you and support you. You know, anything specific that's coming up, would love to know. And we'd also love to know in the chat box as well your biggest takeaway from today, this evening as well. So questions, your biggest takeaway in the chat box, please, ladies. Eva, anything that you would like to share?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, thank you so much. I was saying about my intention, I wanted us to feel inspired. I am really inspired. I loved it. It was so great. But I've seen, I've been scrolling through the comments, and I've seen that some of you have been kind of mentioning that I think it was Sue Ellen who was saying that she encountered a lot of women who experienced domestic violence at her work. And I think there are quite a few popping up. I don't want to go into each individually, but what I'm going to say is at the end, we're going to share my email address. So do please feel free to get in touch. Because of the lockdown at the moment, we're not really recruiting for any of our programs, but we are thinking about digitizing our projects and kind of making it more online friendly. And actually, we were supposed to be recruiting for a new wave of kind of volunteers, but also researchers and connectors. So I really, really still want to go ahead with it. So if there's anything that you would like to know a bit more about the projects, the community projects we run, or have some ideas, or even want to collaborate, please do feel free to get in touch. And I would love to hear about it. And then maybe I'll be able to put you in touch with the right person in the team, or perhaps we can figure out something together. But yes, there will be my email address at the end. And I'd love to hear from all of you.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Yeah, I know Emily commented as well, and also Catherine, about how they can support Rise and, being inspired by, some personal experiences as well. So we've got some takeaways being shared in the chat box. So please keep doing that. We're going to tell you calls to action and things that we can do, because we never like to leave you not complete of things that you can follow on to donate to Rise, to support Rise, to become part of Rise, to be on the Thrive Effect, the Redefined Academy coming up. And also I've got self-study, 3 Keys to Self-Actualization self-study course, which is perfect for working through at home at the moment for the blocks that come up for women. I'm working with women for 5 years and see the same things coming up, blocking you moving into your self-actualization. So we're going to share that with you. I'm just going to share some of the takeaways. I think you've all got so much food for thought. There are no questions at the moment, but do feel free to ask if you have got any. Liz has said her takeaways: don't force myself. I'm sorry, they keep on moving. I'm like, oh, where have they gone? Force myself to be more of an architect. Do this before jumping in again. Takeaway is force myself to be more of an architect. Do this before jumping in again. Yeah, and what I would say, Liz, is don't force yourself to be anything that you're not. Just give yourself that space to invite your inner architect into the party, into the house, and to have that conversation of the hows that you're going to do something. It's not about forcing yourself to be something that you're not, because you can really utilize that power of the visionary and being the builder, but create the space for the architect to support you, but don't force yourself to be something you're not. Never. So much food for thought. Claire, thank you. Says Norton. Gemma says biggest takeaway is feeling inspired to create new products during lockdown period. Yes, absolutely. Biggest takeaway for Sue Ellen is planning. So that might be creating more space for the planning again. Kira, feeling inspired, and I'm getting my post-it notes as soon as we've finished out. The post-it notes are coming out, ladies. Do share some photos on social media with us. Tag us in those post-it notes. We'd love to see what you're creating after this. Dee said super helpful and interesting. Cannot even think of the biggest takeaway from the Venn diagram. Very orange, by the way. There's lots of oranges in the house. High five to you. To the lots to think about. Seema, I fully believe you're going to reach your vision, Claire. Lovely. Practical tips. Biggest takeaway: business clarity canvas. I'm inspired to get working on this. Karen, to keep working on her purpose and mission with the full knowledge of who I am, the builder. Love that, Karen. I'm just thinking, I don't want to leave anyone out. Thinking about current past resources, learn to delegate and get behind my products. Thank you, Fiona. Hilary, I can never say what's the Japanese word? I can never say it.
Ikigai.
That's it.
Ikigai.
Yeah. Trips me up. I've forgotten about this. And Emily, to think about my purpose and values. So helpful. Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies. I can't believe there are no questions, but you can always, you're going to get a follow-up email tomorrow with all the calls to action and any questions and stuff that come up. Then let me know. Lou MacArthur's going to be revising her Simon Sinek book. Love that. Eva, do you want to share your Anything?
Yeah, so I think you guys can all see it now. So that's my email address that you can reach me on. And I think, yes, Lulu mentioned a couple of people were asking already about possibility of donating. I am not going to lie, we are seeing an increase, as I said, in the case workload. We are receiving way more calls. We are investing in our live chat tool at the moment so that it will be easier for women to communicate during this very, very tricky time. So if there is anything that you would like to donate, the last link right there, riseuk.org.uk/donate, you'll be able to put any amount that you feel called to, and we would appreciate any penny you could spare. And as I said, in terms of any kind of collaboration, any time maybe you would like to offer to us, or perhaps just kind of join one of the programs, either email me directly or you can follow us on Facebook. We do kind of talk about what's happening daily, so you can see our updates there as well.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Eva. It's been an honour to work with you on this evening.
Thanks to both of you. I generally feel just so inspired, and the work I do, I already know that I can kind of go back to the women I work with and be like, I think some of them actually joined today, which I'm very, very happy about. And those who couldn't suddenly join, I'll definitely be like, come on, let's revisit this vision.
Get the replay out for sure. Claire, do you want to share your cool. Do you mind? I don't mind that. Sorry, and then
I'll do mine first, and then you can do yours. So my contact details are there. Feel free, people, to connect with me on LinkedIn. If you go to our website, you can sign up for free as a member, and then once you're in, you'll be able to access all the learning resources. That's the thriveeffect.co.uk. There's also a page, our events, listing some of our events. We've got two things we wanted to share, though. The first one is I've got a meetup online tomorrow night, and that will be with Kate Fisher, who will be sharing her tips on how to promote your business using video. She's an experienced videographer and journalist. And after that, there will be an opportunity to work in smaller groups and problem solve each other's business challenges. So there's a bit of peer support built into the meetup. That's tomorrow. It's £5, and you can follow the meetup link to get to that if you want interest. And other exciting news is, as I said, with Karen Stenning from Absolute Alchemy, we're hosting a conference, a virtual conference, which is going to be on Friday, the 29th of May. We're just about to launch, and if you go to that link, you will be able to find more information about the conference and also the ticket details. But basically, we've got a half-day conference. It'll be an opportunity to get inspired again. We've got some fantastic speakers, some really, really practical workshops, getting you to think about your voice, your communications, your business model, how you may want to pivot. And also there's going to be some really interesting panel speakers as well. So check out the details about the conference. It's all about giving you the inspiration and more learning to help you on your entrepreneurial journey. Thanks, Lulu.
Thanks so much, Claire. Thank you for all your incredible content, as always. And you can reach me at lulu@lulumins.com with any questions, anything that's come up. I'm also going to send out the replay for you tomorrow. If you don't know She Rebel Radio, the podcast, you can find the podcast on Spotify, Apple iTunes, all the other platforms that I don't even know the names of, but we're on all of them. So you can find She Rebel Radio. And also I wanted to share with you the 3 keys to self-actualization course. That's my mission, is to support women stepping up from prestige into self-actualization, because my belief is that the world doesn't change until women can fully self-actualize and be in the highest expression, highest version, highest purpose of ourselves. And I encounter the same issues that are coming up for women time and time again. So that's a short 4-week course, really, really powerful to help you work through the blocks and have that personal knowledge of yourself and that personal awareness, which is power. And when women have power, the world starts to change and rise. When we rise, everybody rises with us. So thank you so much for being with us all this evening. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Eva. Thank you all for taking part and contributing and sharing your takeaways. It's been an honour to have you all here this evening. And may we continue to rise and support each other in doing so, because that's really where our power is. ladies. So yeah, good to have you all with us. And do reach out to any of us if we can support you, and any questions of how you can support Rise, and we can continue to rise as a collective. So have a good rest of the evening, and I will see you. We will see each other soon, no doubt. And yeah, do share anything on socials with us as well.
Thanks, Lulu. Thanks, Emma.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, feel free to unmute and say goodbye.
Thanks for listening to She Rebel Radio, the podcast for high-performing women leaders who want to unlearn conventional rules, leave prestigious careers, and launch businesses of significance. She Rebel Radio is executive produced and hosted by women's advocate and coach, Lulu Mins. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss another episode. You can find Lulu Mins on Facebook and LinkedIn at Lulu Mins, and on Instagram at LuluMins_biz. Until next week, keep rebelling against the rules and designing success your way.